Good morning, viewers and viewettes. Welcome again to Airships Conquer the Skies development stream. So today I'm gonna want to do two things. I want to build a viewer for crew animations, and I then want to use that viewer to start building a new crew type, which is actually a giant spider. So if you were around for the last stream, I had kind of a messy experience there, because basically I was trying to build an editor for some of the data in Airships and it just didn't really work. I was trying to use some Java UI stuff, which I used to know how to use and don't anymore, it turns out. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and changed things around to just using JSON files to store all the information, and I've basically done that now. I'm going to show you what that looks like. As usual, notably I have my iPad, so if you have any questions or suggestions or shout outs or whatever, I am on the chat in the stream, so go ahead. Right. Let's actually start up. NetBeans is a great idea, isn't it? Okay, so basically the work which I did while you were away is that all of the information about what crew members are, what they look like and how they're animated, and in fact what their anatomy is like, is now stored in data files. And this looks like this. So here in the data folder in Airships, we now have a bunch of new folders, and that contains various useful things. So going from the top, we have here the crew type folder, which can contain definitions of types of crew. And if we go in here, you can see, for example, in this first record, going down to here, we have the information for air sailors. And that shows us, well, what are they called, how well do they fight, how many hit points do they have, and stuff like that. And what they look like, that's defined by two things. The first one is this simple look value here, and that's literally just a index into the sprite sheet. So that's just saying, oh, go there in the sprite sheet and, like, you know, take that picture. And the second thing is the anim look, the animation look, which points to something also called sailor. Now we can go one on, and that's in animation appearance. And here we have another file called sailor. And that now gives us a whole bunch of different images, which gives us information about, for example, the front of the head is to be found in the sprite sheet at this location, and is this big, and so on. Or like the back of the head is here, the right of the torso is here, and so on. So it just gives you all of this information about, like, where to find the little bits of picture that make up what the sailor looks like. This then links on to something called an animation bundle. And the animation bundle this one is using is called human. So if we go into animation bundle, we then here have this really big file for all of the different kinds of animation that something with a human anatomy needs to have. So for example, here, this is the climbing animation. It's using the images shown from the back. And here, each of these entries indicates basically which bit of the anatomy it's showing, where it's showing it, and how it's moving. Then finally, this links to somewhere. There, to a particular body plan. And this body plan is human, and all body plan is it's really just a list of all the bits of anatomy or otherwise that a particular kind of creature has. And so you can see, because we have all of this is quite a few levels, but the nice thing here now is that, for example, if we wanted to have a zombie, we could have human anatomy, but we could use a different animation bundle, which uses a kind of more zombie-esque movements. Or if we want to add another type of soldier or something, we could reuse the animation bundle, the human animation bundle, and we just have to add a new animation appearance that uses the that bundle. Or finally, if we want another type of crew which even looks the same or something else, that's very simple. And at least in theory now, all of this stuff is abstracted enough that if we want to create a spider instead with a completely different body plan, animation bundle, animation appearance, and crew type, then that should be supported under the same system. But in order to do that without going completely mad and having to just type all of this stuff in manually, the first thing which I want to do is actually want to make an animation viewer that basically lets you choose a particular appearance and then watch how it animates. So going into the code, just checking on OBS, that all looks good, I think, yeah. Okay, going into the code, so we're basically going to have a whole set of new stuff, which is kind of, the idea is that you can use all of this stuff for modding as well. So Dev 8, one of the major points, apart from the monsters, is the modding, making it possible to make simple mods just by adding new entries to data files. And so obviously you want to be able to use this animation viewer as well to create your own creatures. So first thing we're actually going to do, that's my cat, he wants to be let out. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're just going to add a new simple Boolean preference, which is going to be editor tools, which defaults to false. And what editor tools does is, just when you turn it on, is that in the main menu it will give you a whole bunch of extra options for stuff like the animation viewer. Now next we're going to create animation viewer. And what is animation viewer? Well, it's a screen, like the main menu, like the unit screen, like a whole bunch of different things. Okay. Doesn't have any music. Doesn't have a particular postfix for the appearance. That's in there if you like want to show blueprint type stuff or whatever. I think that's roughly correct. I'll fill in input and render in a moment, but we just want to go into main menu, actually wire this stuff up. Let's just put it just after credits, but before quit. And now in all of this code, in all of this editor code, I'm going to be supremely lazy. It's all just going to be in English. Because, oh god, I can't be bothered doing the translations for stuff which is just going to be in the editor. If someone massively protests, then they can do the translation strings and I'll put them in, but yeah. Amazing stuff, right? And in here, okay, the really basic thing is just and okay, so that should now work. Work. Oh, I haven't put in the flag. Probably fix that. Okay, we've got animation viewer, and behold, animation viewer is just a completely empty screen, but we can get out of it using escape. So that's something. Now we just want to make that stuff conditional on we only want to show this button if the editor tools are enabled. Behold, now they're not visible. Now if you turn on the editor tools, it is visible. Okay, so that's that. So now what do we want this animation viewer to do? Basically, the animation viewer wants to load in all of the different types of animation bundles, animation appearances, and allow you to choose from one of them, and then also let you choose from one of the types of animation that there are, and then it should just render this animation. And the other thing which we really want is we want to be able to reload stuff on the fly, so we can basically go back and forth in between editing the JSON files and looking at it, right? Okay. So in order to do this, we really need, UI-wise, we need two kind of scrollable select boxes that let us choose the bundle and the mode, and a button to reload, I guess. Well, I guess a button to leave, right? So let's do this. Let's be reasonably nice. That's a simple example. Okay. Let's be nice and put in the top bar in here as well, like any other piece of UI has, like that. Okay, so things that we will need are what did you call these? These are called animation appearance. And yeah. Okay. So I'll actually on the third one. Okay. So animation app chooser. Let's do that one first. So you see, now I'm just doing UI in my own code, and of course I know how to do UI in my own code, so it's less, you can hear me complaining a lot less, and it's a bit daft because really I'm just manually putting together all of this stuff out of like numerical offsets and so on, which is very unprofessional. But on the plus side, because the UI framework in this game is simple, it's also not like annoying and fidgety. You just have to be pretty explicit. So X is window insert, side clearance. Y should apparently be that. Okay, and we basically need 3 vertically aligned panels. So the total height is the height of the screen minus how much we've reduced up minus the clearance at the bottom of the screen. As the total height we have available for these 3 bits of scroll bar, and we can then further subtract. You can say in scroll bar h is total height minus my draw dot UI spacing times 2, so that's the space in between the 2 scroll bars. You can see I'm just kind of visualizing what this is going to look like, divided by 3. Okay, nice. Okay, so now we want to render the I guess we want the load error view first, actually. Load error view dot draw. Right, and that's how things happen. So what do we need? We need X and Y, that's all right. Width, good question. We're just going to say that's going to be 300. Let's put this into a variable. So that's left panel width. The height is scroll bar height. Let's call that scroll bar width, right? Okay, and then there's the 2 things which it wants. It wants a list of elements, and it wants the so-called scroll element adapter of T, which is basically the thing that renders the individual elements. Okay, and for this, we need to go into animation appearance. Okay. Now here right now, when loading an animation appearance goes wrong, it actually just goes and cries home to mommy. It just reports the error into the canned instance of Airships game, and that's actually over the top. I don't really need to get an email every time someone mistypes something while making a mod. So we're going to do this differently. We're just going to have a public ta-da. And then we're going to say load errors add f.getName something like that. So anything that goes wrong while loading the animation appearances gets put into the list of load errors, and that list then we can display here in our friendly yes, also to change that. Okay, getting somewhere. Okay, now we need a renderer for this. So we now know what the list is. The list is actually animation appearance dot load errors. Now we need a renderer of strings, a very boring renderer of strings. Public class Sorry, I just need to deal with the cats. I'll be right back. The cats have stolen the plug out of the bathtub. I don't know why. I don't know what's so fun about this plug, but this is like the 5th time they've done it. Oh, who just got their bathroom privileges revoked? Is it you, kitties? It's you. Right, here we are again. Okay, the height of the arrow adapter, that's really quite easy. That's just the dot text size of the string, the normal font. Grion1707 asks what kind of game I'm making. Okay, you're new here. I will just launch the game in a moment and show you. Okay, now it compiles. So I am making a sort of strategy game that's about building airships out of modules and running around with them and shooting stuff. So if you've got some airship like this one, and you've got some poor innocent building like this one, then you can see it's basically a real-time strategy game, which is a bit loud. Yeah, so you can see you've got all of these little guys running around, ferrying around ammunition, shooting guns, and so on. And you tell your ship what to do. So in this example, for example, I might tell the ship to go down here and shooting, and then I can, for example, set it to rapid fire to shoot things more rapidly. So that's like the 30 seconds introduction, and you can edit your own ships in an editor. Right. Green1707 says, do you use Python? They want to get into Java. Well, I personally like Java. I like it because it has good editor support, and it's actually fairly fast as a language. The main drawback with Java is that it's not backed by any major corporation who cares, right? In our modern world where corporations rule everything, what really matters for the adoption of a tool or language is whether whether there's some major, whether the corporations want you to use it. So, for example, Apple has been trying for years to gently kill Java on their platform. Sun, who own, not Sun, I wish, Oracle, who own Java, only care about it as a thing for servers, not for games. Microsoft hates it, has always hated it. Linux is sort of ambivalent, so it's a great language, it's a great platform, but like I spend a lot of time just trying to make sure that this thing works consistently on people's computers, and I live in fear of like Microsoft releasing some really helpful update to Windows that just breaks it horribly and completely. So yeah, Java's great. In practice, I'm probably going to switch to Unity for the next game because everyone uses Unity, and so if I use Unity, I'll be within crowd and like you know, people will make sure that the engine I'm using doesn't stop working all of a sudden. Anyway, carrying on this, we now just want to draw the particular error. So that's just going to be draw some text. Actually, draw some text. The text at X and Y, that's correct. And with the maximum width, no maximum height, and we don't want to allow commands. So the text system in this game has got a really kind of simple way of like styling text. You can just like do and then that text appears in red, and that's really helpful, except for when you're passing raw data straight from somewhere else. Then you really want to make sure to escape it or to turn off this whole thing. Like I had this, there was this bug at one point where okay, like I mean this looks a bit like a tag people use in Steam, right, or something like this, and people were using tags in their Steam usernames, and then when it would draw their Steam usernames, they would come out in weird colors, or I would be getting these error messages about how the game was unable to load in an image because they'd be doing a tag like this. And it then would try to actually load this image from the game's files and insert it into the text, because that's the syntax for being able to put in little icons like something like that. So I had to turn that off. Anyway, that should now work. We should now just get these errors. And in order to be able to see this, we should also actually have a button to do the reloading. So before that, we want what's the Y? It's the Y coordinate for buttons. Start clearance +1, okay. The width of the button could probably be like 100. The text is just going to be reload. What it actually does is it goes to our friendly friend animation appearance and forces it to reload the data. Okay, yeah. Oh yes, we also want okay, let's see what that looks like. No. No, I made a hideous mistake. Let's see. Oh, there. Yeah, sure. I actually need to initialize these scroll bars, otherwise they'll be unhappy. Try this again. There we go. Isn't it incredibly boring? It is. Need to move to move the reload button on screen. That helps, and really it should of course also have a quit button. The quit button does exactly the same thing as hitting escape. Okay, then now we have reload and we have quit. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to mess up some JSON files, and hopefully we'll see some load errors in here. Let's see, let's hope. So if we go into animation appearance and we just oh yeah, that's some illegal JSON now. Save that and hit reload. There we go. So now we get this little error message, Grenadier JSON, what the hell are you even doing? And it gives us the line and the character, so that should hopefully make it relatively easy to figure out what went horribly wrong. Yeah, so that's good. Actually, it occurs to me that all of this loading stuff, have to think about this. Actually, it needs to reload not only the appearance but also the bundle and the body plan. And it needs to stick all of them together. That's slightly more complicated. So it's doing this. It's got these load errors here. So now we need to essentially duplicate this for animation bundle. Again, have a list of load errors. No. And in body plan as well. Okay, lovely. Oh, and we need to clear the load errors, otherwise they're going to accumulate. Okay, lovely. So now in animation viewer, we need to have we need the reload thing to actually do body plan dot load. The load functions are still private here. There we go. And now the underlying list here is actually going to be combination of all three, so oh yeah, I have a question in terms of kind of streaming style for anyone who's currently on chat, which is like the way I'm doing the streaming at the moment is that, as you can see, I talk quite a lot and I really kind of narrate everything I'm doing. and I generally stick to about 1 hour sessions, mostly because actually talking for an hour solid is pretty exhausting. So my question to you is, do you like this format, or would you prefer me doing a longer stream, like say 2 hours or more, where I mostly don't talk? So you just watch me type things, and will occasionally like curse, or will occasionally, you know, do some anecdote or explain something, but I'll mostly be silent. Or do you prefer this kind of heavily narrated style? It's roughly the same amount of effort to me, but I'd be very interested to hear what you prefer. Okay, so here we go. Now we have got all 3 types. Yeah, so now if we mess up, say, the human body plan, okay, we get all of these errors here because didn't load that correctly, but it didn't actually. Annoyingly, it didn't actually show the core error. It should be in here. Oh, because they'll change that around. The good old do some stuff with some data, do some coding, and then completely ignore the result trick. There we go. So now we have human.json, oh god, everything's on fire. And then further down the line, it's unhappy. And that actually is a good point. I should indicate, now we've got 2 files called human.json. So I should probably indicate that's what I mean. Okay, there we go. So that tells us all of these sad, unhappy stories. So it's not really hard to read. So I'm going to say that actually the width of these is going to be more like half of the size of the screen. So if you have a big screen, you can at least see it properly. Animation viewer, sum.width divided by 2 minus, okay, actually it should be sum.width. But then we need to get rid of my draw.side clearance times 2 minus my draw.ui spacing divided by 2. There we go. Grab this and put it in here as well. Oops. Right. And better. Now you can actually see what's going on. Good. Nice. So now let's just fix up that poor human body plan. Nice. No errors. Actually, let's just put that in. If errors is empty, errors no. Like all data files loaded successfully. There we go. Okay. Now you know what's going on. So the next things we need to do are we need to actually have the animation app chooser and the animation type chooser. So animation appearance. So we can look at all of the animation appearances. Okay, so okay, and we need the elements and we need the adapter. Well, the app choose is animation appearance dot all, and the adapter is going to be right. So here now we need a concept of public animation appearance null and public animation type, which we might as well set to like standing, the default, right? Okay, so if T is current appearance, G.text putting in a hook, which is basically just an area which reacts to clicks or mouse movements or whatever at X and Y, width and when you click on it, it sets the current appearance to that one. Okay. Now, quite similarly, we also need, I'm just going to steal this. We also need an animation type adapter. There we go. Lovely. So I've got this animation type chooser. It's going to be the ATA, and now we need another. We need a list of all the animation types. Which we get using erased as list. Animation type dot values. Okay. Let's see what that does. Hopefully something useful. Animation viewer. Yes. See, so all data files loaded successfully. Here's all the types of animations, and here's all of the here's all the like appearances, and here's all the types of different animation. Nice. So what's left? Well, we need to make these new bits scrollable. Okay, that should do. And now the other tiny thing, which is that we should sort the kind of actually show the animation, right? That would be useful. So let's do that. In order to show the animation, we need to have int. We need to keep track of the time. Yeah. And we need to like that. And also if the current, okay, now this is a bit more tricky. If current appearance isn't null, we get the actual animation now, and if the actual animation isn't null, and its length isn't so if it's not so like there's some animations which just loop, they just seamlessly make some kind of motion, you know, and there's some animations which are only over a certain amount of time, like being hit or falling over or anything like that, and in this latter case we need to actually reset the time so it doesn't go crazy. So if it's not looping, then we want to just say time we set to the modulo of length. There we go. Okay, we can more or less steal this from here. Now we can hopefully draw this animation. Please make a first go at it. So if we've got an animation and we've got an appearance, we can now try drawing this thing. So that's going to be crew animated. Okay, we need a. Okay, so crew animated.draw is what we really need. Does this care? No, this can be static. That's very nice. Perfect. So crew animator.draw. Okay, the X. Okay, so we're going to do this badly for starters. The X coordinate is like X plus scroll bar width plus UI spacing. The Y coordinate is the good old that. Current type, current appearance, time, no resource. There. Let's see what it does. Body crash. No. Hey, look, it works. Now, it works, but it's completely tiny. Like, if you look very carefully, you can probably just see a few pixels up there. So obviously we need to scale this up, like, a bit. Well, look, it didn't animate. So let me scale this up so you can see it too. Okay, so the way to do this is to actually go. Let's shift over to these coordinates. Let's scale it by like a factor of 10. Then reset the transforms afterwards. There we go. So here's a marine, a grenadier, a guard, and we can tell it to like do a particular animation. So there we go. Now we have a nice little animation viewer, which is all data driven and everything, which is pretty fancy in my opinion. I quite like to center this, but I think that's actually annoyingly hard because there's actually nothing in there really which says what dimensions the animation necessarily has. So there's no clean way of doing that. No, there's really no clean way of doing that at all. We can just, I'm just going to botch and like, you know, shift it inwards a bit, but it's just going to be by a completely made up amount. Just going to put 100 pixels in. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so that's that. We've got our animation viewer. So now step 2 is going to be using this animation viewer to create a new type of body plan, of animation bundle, and of particular bits of graphics to create a spider. We currently have spent pretty much exactly an hour on this. I'm pretty much willing to carry on, but I do want to take a quick break. So I'm going to call a exactly 10-minute break. So I will be back with you at 5 past, okay?